I certainly think opportunities were missed both by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian government, as well as by the Taliban regime that has come to India with the idea that they are strengthening cooperation.
تیر ورځ دلته کوم خبري کانفرنس وو د موږ تخنیکی ټیمونو محدودو خبريالانو سره رابطه کړې وه او هغوی یې راغوښتي.
This was not a short notice, and it was not what he said that this was to address only specific technical issues. I mean, what did he mean? That women journalists don't understand technical specific issues? We all do. But end of the day, I think there was a mistake from both the sides.
With regards to education, currently at this very moment, we have 10 million students attending schools and other education institutes, of which 2.8 million are women and girls. In religious seminary, these education opportunities are all the way to the graduation levels, to highest levels. There is only limitations in specific parts, and that does not mean that we oppose education. We have not declared it religiously haram, but it has been postponed until second order.
Because our male colleagues did attend the press conference that was held 48 hours ago, and women were barred. Pranay is one of them, massively trolled by those who do not practice the profession, by those who are not reporters, and by those who are questioning them. When I can say in hindsight that should they have boycotted? Maybe yes. Should they have walked out? Yes. Should they have asked certain questions in the room with regards to women being barred? Yes. But when you're reporters on the ground, you're thinking about the story, for the story, and sometimes you don't think of a few things. We're here at the Afghan embassy, and there's been a second press conference within 48 hours, that of Foreign Minister Muttaqi. And this time, women journalists were also invited. But Pranay, my colleague, was invited for the first one as well. We will talk about the fact that there has been massive discrimination. How did it happen under the watch of the Ministry of External Affairs? So Hasni, first to you. Bad show, bad optics, really does not go down well, because this is India, it's not Afghanistan, and certainly the messaging in terms of why they were allowed to hold it, you can say this is Afghan soil, so on and so forth, but doesn't cut it.
Well, I certainly think opportunities were missed both by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Indian government, as well as by the Taliban regime that has come to India with the idea that they are strengthening cooperation. To have come over here and then to have tried to segregate men and women, or to discriminate and only bring men, defeats the purpose of what they're trying to say in terms of strengthening cooperation and having some kind of a common platform between them. I think it's important that we saw with the turnaround within 48 hours, because what it shows is that when the Indian media show solidarity together, and I think this is about male journalists, women journalists, they both said this is wrong. We were hoping the MEA would also say this is wrong. But just the fact that this became the bigger issue, in a sense, shows that they felt enough pressure to come back and answer these questions. I've got messages now from journalists around the world, from Afghan exiles around the world, saying they have never had to answer questions on girls' education, on the discrimination within their own country before. And that certainly was our point, that this isn't about us. This isn't about whether journalists are allowed in or not. But this is about the important questions that should be asked. And I think it is important that they called us back. It is important that, frankly, not that we are activists at all, that our male colleagues made the point that women journalists should be allowed to ask the first questions, or requested us, in fact, to ask the first questions. I think it's a strong message being sent that regardless of, sovereignty, immunity, and all the rest of these ideas that were given out, that in India, you respect the Indian culture, and that is that there is no discrimination between men and women, and that was kept.
And also the response, Nanima Basu joins me, independent journalist. Nanima, the response of the foreign minister really was not convincing. He spoke about how it was a technical issue, short notice, but I can tell you on the record that all of us over here were messaging, telling them, asking them, we'd want to participate. We weren't allowed, so it was not a short notice because of which women were missed in the previous press conference.
No, you're of course right, Geeta. This was not a short notice, and it was not what he said, that this was to address only specific technical issues. I mean, what did he mean? That women journalists don't understand technical specific issues? We all do. But end of the day, I think there was a mistake from both the sides, and I think there is still Minister of External Affairs has the opportunity to say again on the record that, okay, this shouldn't have happened. Because for me, the bigger worry is that now that we've normalized ties with the Taliban in Afghanistan, there are going to be this kind of high-level visits happening on and off, right? And every time if they come and if we are telling them that you have a free run in our country, even if this is their territory or not, which is technically not because we have not recognized them officially, then you can do anything inside this premises. Tomorrow, Afghan women will come here maybe for visas or any other issues. What if they are punished the same way that they are done in Afghanistan? What if tomorrow in the courtyard you flog a woman? What would the Indian government say at that point of time? This is their territory. Will you allow that to happen? So this has very serious implication. I mean, yes, of course, you can stop journalists from coming in. End of the day, you and I, we know, even Suhasini and Pranay, that we will get our stories done. But what is the example that you are setting is the bigger question.
Absolutely. Also the fact that the foreign minister came with a delegation, and now he's announced that the External Affairs Minister of India is going to accept and invite Taliban diplomats in this very embassy. It goes to show that there is that India is moving towards normalization, Suhasini, and when you're looking at normalization, we had conditions. Those conditions have not been met. He almost lied through his teeth when it comes to conditions of women.
Certainly. And we know for a fact that women are not allowed beyond 6th grade. They are not allowed to study there. There are women who went to college were stopped. You saw the Kabul University just now put out very proudly its video of graduates, all men, in that auditorium. And how sad that all the women who were part of the school and college are no longer there. The fact that women who used to work in banks, in offices, in schools, in NGOs and all the rest are not allowed to work there anymore. So what he was saying was essentially men and women are free, and this is this is untrue. But I think he was called out on that. And the truth is that they did take the questions that came and did not have really convincing answers to them. But I think it is important. It is important that they took the questions. It's important that those questions were asked. There were other questions asked on terrorism, on the security of Indian diplomats, given that they were under attack from the Taliban before. The fact that they claimed they claimed that 100% of the embassy is with them when we know for a fact it isn't. But I think it was at the end of the day a professional press conference in terms of questions were asked and questions were answered or not answered. But it was important that a Taliban representative, a high official of the Taliban should have taken them.
Well, speaking of being professional, a very unfortunate incident also happened because our male colleagues did attend the press conference that was held 48 hours ago, and women were barred. Pranay is one of them, massively trolled by those who do not practice the profession, by those who are not reporters, and by those who are questioning them when I can say in hindsight that should they have boycotted? Maybe yes. Should they have walked out? Yes. Should they have asked certain questions in the room with regards to women being barred? Yes. But when you're reporters on the ground, you're thinking about the story, for the story, and sometimes you don't think of a few things. Pranay, you've been at the receiving end of massive trolling. What do you have to say to how you've been trolled and what was the situation on the ground?
Geeta, trolling apart, but we remain united. And that's why this is the change. After 48 hours, we are again standing on the so-called Afghan soil. You are standing and you are asking these questions. You have to give it to the change as well. And at that day also, we discussed on air, and I said that this is a good gain lost in a bad optics. It was a bad optics. Definitely, it's a good gain in terms of the strategic affairs, as Suhasini rightly pointed it out. Definitely, India and Afghanistan have to gain a lot, but I don't know who actually decided and why did they decide, and if the same thing, a similar press conference could have been at that point of time. Just to add to Nanima's point, that I was there in the first press conference as well. There was no technical point. Similar questions were asked. Same questions regarding Pakistan. Same questions about the rights of women, and the responses were also almost the same. So there was absolutely no difference, no technical or extra point. So as a person who attended the previous press conference, I can tell you that you did not, or we did not gain anything extra in this press conference, and you did not lose anything extra, in the previous press conference. The very fact that the gender segregation, and this is a change also. We have to recognize the fact that, Suhasini, you are covering foreign policy for a long period of time, but I think this is for the first time a Taliban leader has addressed a press conference attended by women journalists on Indian soil in last 25 years since they came to power, be it Taliban 1.0 or a 2.0. So definitely we have to see, and whether how
that was our push, a strong message that this is India, it is not Afghanistan. Not that it's going to change anything in Afghanistan, because Nanima, when it comes to women's rights, and Suhasini was pushing very hard about women's education, so did Smita and you. When it comes to those questions, he was not really being honest about whether they're going to really allow women to start their education soon or not. And I say this is because the recent earthquake is a case in point. It's a huge example where women died because they were not rescued. Men could not touch those women who were not from the family, and they were left to die. So things are not going to change anytime soon in Afghanistan.
Well, I hope that after this experience, he goes back and does some change in terms of restarting education, at least in the primary school level, where you really don't have that threat, right? Why stop little girls from going to school? And gradually there can be a change, because we also know that within the ranks of Taliban, there is this difference of opinion on this. And there are many who do support that that women should be given education. And coming to the fact that I specifically asked the question, even on security, he said there is aman. In whole of Afghanistan, there is peace, right? But we also know, and we all of us are aware what happened in 2008. We lost a diplomat, we lost Brigadier Mehta. There was a massive blast. And so, what is this kind? And although the blame goes, of course, to ISI, but it was in collusion in Taliban. So the point is, are they giving that guarantee now that India has, put the trust on them that we are going to reopen the embassy again, a full-fledged operation where everything again will be normal? Will you then again give us a security guarantee that a 2008 will not be repeated?
Well, also, Suhasini, strategically speaking, this could just be a strategic gain, but a very momentary strategic gain, I'd say, because we're talking about Pakistan. A lot of people celebrated that Muttaqi is coming to India and not going to Pakistan. Does that call for celebration? Is that absolutely a strategic gain or momentary? Because he could very well be in Pakistan in a few weeks from now, if not more. And Jaishankar was in Kabul.
I think it's important to remember that our relations with Afghanistan, India's relations, Delhi-Kabul relations, are centuries old. And these are not relations that can be ruptured because of one or the other government in power. It's certainly true that right now India does not have a defendable boundary with Afghanistan. And it is Pakistan that is Afghanistan's neighbor. So Pakistan and Afghanistan will probably have to work out their differences, or they might. We saw just 2 months ago, both the Pakistani foreign minister and the acting Afghan foreign minister in Beijing for a trilateral meeting, calling peace. So we don't know whether that is going to change anytime in the future. But remember, there is a history to their relationship as well. Mr. Muttaqi, for example, fled to Pakistan as a 9-year-old. He grew up in Pakistan. He returned as a trained mujahideen in 1996. These are not relations that we can just wish away because India and Afghanistan have a different kind of cooperation. I think it's important to remember that India's policy towards Afghanistan, and this is also in Taliban 1.0 when we had not recognized them, is the humanitarian aid to Afghans. The idea that Indians stand with Afghans and that humanitarian aid, trade, things that can help, especially the women in Afghanistan, are important to India. The rest of it, the strategic part of it, certainly in a difficult neighborhood, India does need to have all the friends it can get. And in a turbulent neighborhood, it must have the ability to engage with all governments, because after all, we saw what happened with IC 814 when India had to release a man like Masood Azhar to the Taliban, who then handed him over to the Pakistanis. So India doesn't want to be in that position again. But I think it is necessary to focus on that bilateral without seeing it as a zero-sum game, because that is not something that is permanent, as you said.
All right. And finally to you, lot of clashes between Afghanistan and Pakistan. They thought, or we thought, that if the Taliban returns, that they will have more peace and there'll be more cooperation there. It would spell trouble for India, but it seems like it's more trouble for Pakistan right now.
In fact, we are in a very interesting time of geopolitics where the relations and equations are so rapidly changing that you cannot fixate anything. And since Suhasini referred about the history of Afghanistan-Pakistan relation, I would like to mention the fact that Afghanistan was the only country, or in fact the first country, to oppose Pakistan's inclusion as member of United Nations, and in fact one of the two countries first to recognize India as a new state. So this remains the historical aspect of it. But if you see the border clashes between Afghanistan and Pakistan, because in both the press conferences, these were the most prominent questions posed to him, and the timing of these so-called Pakistani military operation are also very interesting, because this happened at a time when the Afghan foreign minister was on Indian soil, and from the Indian soil he responded to, and he gave a strong message to Pakistan. If you see in last 4 years, you mentioned about the gain, and everyone remembers that photograph of the then DG ISI Faiz Hamid in Serena Hotel of Kabul, and having tea and just giving out the message that all is well in Kabul. See where Faiz Hamid right now. He is facing court-martial. He is under house arrest, and see where Afghan-India relations are. So this is how things are changing. But I completely agree with Suhasini that the historical aspect of India-Afghan relation has been largely owns its credit to the people-to-people contact. Still, Mr. Muttaqi will be around, and he will also be going for certain I don't know whether I should mention this thing, but to attend the medical treatment here. Many Afghans come to India, and his team, his entourage, they will be doing their shopping here. So India is a country they look for the help, and that's why I think the goodwill India has gained.
Okay, on that note, there's a lot that was covered in this press conference. Tough questions were posed to Muttaqi. These are changing times in geopolitics. Will the Taliban change with the times is the question. With video journalist Sanjeev Kumar in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for India Today.